The Essential Education projector range from Hitachi sponsors ICT programs.
So you've had your whiteboard for a few months and you're kind of confident with the basic options and you're fairly happy using it in most lessons. Now's the time to really think, okay, I want to get to grips with everything it can do, not just those very superficial things which help me just work on a day-to-day basis. Think to yourself, okay, how can I really come up with a really high quality lesson using this really exciting resource?
How can teachers get the most out of their whiteboard? Simon Botton is an experienced user and trainer. He's been working with the whiteboard for over 5 years. Here, we'll see him apply an extensive range of whiteboard techniques in geography, history, maths and literacy. And we'll see one of his colleagues as he extends the capacity of the whiteboard with imaginative use of simple software.
Who can come out and find me where the River Severn is next to us? Who show where we are on that map? Your interactive whiteboard is just that, an interactive whiteboard. You've got to try and get the children involved, and that means getting the children out of their seats and getting them interactive. Have a go, just have a stab at it, doesn't matter where. Fantastic. We're in Gloucester. I use this in my geography lesson where the children came up and actually manipulated the map so they are following the River Severn up to its source. Here it is. Now it starts off really big, it's easy to see that, isn't it? It's massive. But it gets a bit smaller and we have to really keep on the trail if we're not going to lose it. Who can come and move our map this way for me? Polly. Okay, I could have the children sat behind their desk doing this with atlases, but for them to come up, it made it a memorable experience for them. It made them something where they were interacting with the map, they could see the map moving, and I couldn't do that in any other way. Has there anywhere it's passed yet? Can I say where it's passed? Any towns it's passed? Matthew?
Sharpness.
Brilliant. A lot of work's been done on accelerated learning techniques, and one of the things that comes out in the accelerated learning cycle is if you get the children to demonstrate their understanding, what you're actually doing is reinforcing that understanding and helping bring it to a deeper level. So by getting the children out to actually speak through what they can do, then you are helping them understand better. In this geography lesson, it allowed them to check their understanding as to whether they were right or not in labelling the features. It allowed them to take risks. If they were wrong, we could quickly erase it. It wasn't permanently on the page in their book. And it got everybody thinking, well, what goes there? Does this go there? They all wanted to come out and put the letter in. So it made them think, do I understand this myself? Am I right before I put my hand up? I'm going to try something we haven't tried before, and it might work and it might not. We'll soon find out. We're going to play a little game called Mallard Maths. Let's go and have a look at that. Very simple game. It's about shooting ducks. In the numeracy lesson, I wanted to start by getting the children really excited about what they were doing. So I decided to use the Mental Oral Starter, a game off the internet. And I didn't want to have to be faffed moving from the platform, closing that down, opening up the internet and doing all that sort of thing. So I used a hyperlink and I used a picture to make the hyperlink. It means you can just hop from one thing to the other very quickly, very nimbly, and it keeps the pace of the lesson up the whole time. You haven't got those dead moments in that lesson. For me, hyperlinks really do provide the backbone to the lesson. I've got my platform which kind of holds the lesson together, and the hyperlinks which take me out of that platform into other places which allow me to explain the learning clearly. So, we know the story of the break with Rome. You've got your notes in front of you. You did some instructions on that the other day in literacy, which you did brilliantly. Today, I want us to try and move on quite a lot quicker. This programme allows you to create like a comic book, but it's a comic book you can animate, if you imagine kind of a flip book. I used it for storyboarding. We did an interview with Henry VIII, where the children are thinking of questions and what Henry's responses would be to those questions, so you're reinforcing their children's historical learning. We did them to do a comic book on the break from Rome, which was quite challenging. They had to think about all the steps that led to the break with Rome, and for things like story writing or sequencing ideas, they're really, really useful. Right, do you need to make these bigger? Because you've lost a bit of text off the bottom, don't you? Okay, so get those things right. So at 5 to 12, it is absolutely perfect to show on the screen.
Why did you marry Anne Boleyn?
Henry was very old and ill, so all I did was look after him.
Why did you marry Catherine of Aragon? Because the King of Spain paid lots of money.
There's several on the market now. The two main leaders are either Cartouche or another one which is just out, which is from Australia, called Cahoots. Either are worth looking at, but there's also other ones coming on the market all the time. So it's something to add to your arsenal of programs which you can use on your whiteboard as a tool. Both of the ones I mentioned come with teacher resources pre-programmed, deliberately there for whiteboards, with then activities the children can then do on their own laptops or PCs. So they're a really flexible tool which you can use within your classroom.
You are so evil, Henry.
You are a stupid Catholic, Catherine.
Blah, 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 Fat Henry.
The more I do it, the more I see just how powerful it is, because you're allowing children, perhaps some children who don't have so much access as far as their literacy skills, to really interact with you and really show the rest of the class what their understanding is. It allows the children to assess themselves, it allows them to kind of assess each other without saying so, you know, what is it so-and-so's done, in order to make their presentation really, really effective.
I have to divorce you, Catherine.
Fine, just fine.
Shame, I would have liked to see her head on a stick.
OK, give them a big clap. One really exciting way of using your board was a way that I was shown by a guy called Tim Rylands, who works at Magna Primary School. And he came up with using the idea of using a computer game, but using it a really different way than you'd expect.
I use some of the games in the Mist series, which are virtual reality landscapes. And I use it in a literacy context where I walk the children through the games and we describe everything we see and hear and touch around us.
And what he'd used it for, and we then copied, was using it for creative writing. So giving these worlds where children can explore, they can look up, they can look down, they can look left, they can look right, the sound effects in the background, it really draws them in. You only have to look at their faces while they're doing it, and they're absolutely immersed in this activity.
What I like to do is to really create an atmosphere within the room. We turn all the lights off and the music up so that we, again, become washed in the environment. I'm just going to take a walk outside and look around. What do you notice today? What do you notice about the weather here today? I use the whiteboard, but I sit amongst my children with the laptop so that it's a shared experience. Sometimes I get the children to actually operate the mouse. They dictate the pace that we move through. Sometimes, like for example today, we were looking at paragraphs and it can be broken down to even turning to look in a different direction or perhaps picking up an object. All those things are great for picking apart when to start a new paragraph. Keep writing, folks, the rest of you.
By using these imaginary worlds, you're all having, you're given a common sort of visual vocabulary, if you like. Everybody's looking at the same thing, so everybody can add their own interpretation of that item or that background, and you can really come up with some very high quality writing. You're really using the board for its full interactivity, the sounds, the sights, the movement of the pictures, and it really draws everybody into the experience.
This part's really, really cool if you're not afraid of tight spaces.
I use the whiteboards to create an immersive environment that inspires the children's speaking and listening and writing and their general confidence in literacy. Okay, who'd like to read a little bit about what they wrote, perhaps including a really good positional or a... Jess?
Ahead lay a tower of pale dry rocks looming over me, the wind making all the lush green plants sway. I noticed also that there was a large lake flowing past, two small huts, one billowing smoke.
What I was really surprised about when I tried it with my class was just the quality of writing was astounding, to the point where I had some Year 5 pupils producing level 6 work, which I've never seen before. I cannot recommend it strongly enough. There's all sorts of different computer games you can try. There's some free ones you can get on the net. It's just a really good approach, and I honestly, try it with your class and you'll be amazed by the results. When you buy your interactive whiteboard, it's a really good idea to invest in something like a wireless keyboard to go along with it. They're not terribly expensive. They start about £50 or £60 and they go up to about £100, depending on the range. They're really good in allowing the children to really get involved in especially literacy sessions, where you can actually pass the keyboard round and get the children to actually put their ideas directly onto the screen. It gives them ownership of what's on the screen. I was greeted by his daughter and taken on a strange stairlift which whizzed through the canyon and finally stopped on a narrow platform. I looked around me. OK, with the person next to you... This way allows the children to combine their ideas, to share their ideas, to think about what the person's written before them, to think about how their piece of writing fits in with everyone else's, and how the quality of their writing is really important when they see it on a big screen. Stared at me. Oh, nice. Today we will be learning how to use persuasive language in our party political broadcasts. That's a mouthful. We use these little digital video cameras a lot in school. They're very good, they're very robust, they're about £90 each, and they're perfect for what we want to do. In this particular lesson we were making their own party political broadcast. Now, in recent times you'd have had to do that in front of a class of children, which we still will do. We'll actually have the children doing live talks in front of the children, because that's a really important skill. But this is a kind of nice halfway house. It's perhaps a bit less threatening than standing up in front of a whole room full of people. But it makes children really think about their speaking and listening skills quite carefully, and then they can actually see themselves. And it kind of draws to their attention. OK, maybe I'm muttering here, or maybe my body language or expression isn't quite right. And it helps with all sorts of curriculum areas. And we use them all right across the curriculum. We use them for maths. A nice trick is to get the children to go and explain a mathematical concept using them. Every single subject you can think of.
Hello, and welcome to Party of Great Britain's political party broadcast.
We believe that school should be a better place.
100% want more fun lessons.
Everyone who has dinners want more healthy ones.
Class pets is essential because it will keep the students not lonely.
Another nice thing about them is you're not mucking about with lots of wires at the end, and perhaps if you're looking for a way into digital video, this is a good way, because literally all you do, you get this little docking station with it, which you plug into one of your USB ports. So it's incredibly simple. Once you've got it plugged into your computer, you literally just stick the camera straight on the stand. The video appears on the screen, a couple of seconds, downloads straight into it. It also takes live pictures like we've got here. And what you've got then is all your videos just ready to show there and then. Another way of using these films, once you've got the video, you can then save it as an AVI file, and then put it into PowerPoint. You can put it straight into your whiteboards rather than messing about with this software. You could just use it as a film that you've made inside your whiteboard.
Hello, and welcome to Party of Great Britain's political party broadcast.
We believe that school should be a better place.
It's great, isn't it? Who'd have thought we could do this even just 2 years ago? But one final point. These are a really powerful tool which are really going to enhance the way we work. But we've got to remember they're there to support our teaching and not to replace all the great things we've done in the past. So keep doing all those great things in the past and use these to really enhance your lessons.
Because our runs are dull.
So vote for us now!
Essential education projectors from Hitachi sponsor ICT programs.